Hey, this is Jon. Welcome to Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with Peter Guirguis. Peter, it's great to connect with you, founder of Swiftpress Support, website design and advertising agency. I love this topic. I love talking about website design. I love talking about advertising. I think there are things that, there are areas that people can continually grow and learn, all the little nuances. I really want to start off. Well, first of all, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it. I want to talk real quickly, kick off by talking about, lessons learned. I think, attention spans seem to be getting less and less than a goldfish of 7 seconds. And so what are people learning about, how tight their message needs to be on their website?
Yeah, absolutely. What an incredible way to start today's podcast, Jon. I think people are really learning that, if you confuse, you lose. And I think that's really the biggest takeaway. And, people are confusing, their website visitors on their websites with just these generic messages. What Google has a study that shows that, if new visitors come to your website and they can't tell what you offer and what your website does within 3 to 5 seconds, they're gone.
Yeah.
And if you're spending money on advertising, getting those people, you're basically putting money down the toilet. So it's really important, for you to have clear messaging so people can clearly identify, hey, what are you all about? What's the benefit of product or service, whatever you're doing, and that you have a clear pathway for them to go on different journeys and stuff. So I think that's something that's really, really important in today's age.
Let's do I agree with you on that. I mean, it's so important, but let's do a mini business course on that topic. The topic of if you confuse, you lose. And, based on what you just shared, the study that you have 3 to 5 seconds on a website. What are 3 things people can do to tighten up their message on their website or any social platform that they're using? So when somebody comes, they can, do their best to convert that client.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I think something that really business owners struggle with is that when you offer different products and services, like how are you going to put that all in like one clear messaging at the very top? Because the very most important section of your homepage is going to be the hero section or the header section, which is at the very top, which is what people see right above the fold. So it's what's in viewpoint as soon as somebody comes on their phone. It's the very first thing that they see. So the best thing that you can do, or one of the easiest ways that you can start, is just to say, hey, we offer blank to blank, and then start, say like, hey, what's the benefit? Yeah. So, so for example, hey, maybe you offer baked goods, you're a bakery or something. So you're offering baked goods, and who are your ideal customers? Well, it's going to be basically maybe breakfast lovers or whatever it is, coffee drinkers or whatever. Try to think about it and then create that statement. And then that's a good starting point. It doesn't mean that that's where you have to end there, but that's basically where you want attention.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times people speak in benefits, in features, not benefits, but they think they're speaking in benefits. And so I think that's a really important piece. And the real estate, that top piece you're talking about is really important. What about what's the second thing that they should be thinking about?
Let's pick up on where you just left off, Jon, because you said something absolutely amazing. And that is that you're talking about you need to talk about the benefits, not the features. And this is something that's a lot of people don't understand. Like, hey, what is a feature and what's a benefit? What's the difference? So let's clarify that so that people can actually take that away from today's podcast. And so let's say, for example, you have an iPhone, right? And so the iPhone has a 500 milliamp battery, 500 milliamp battery, right? So that is a feature. It has a large battery, right? But if you were to say, hey, the Apple iPhone has a 500 milliamp battery, and then you use the words so that, all right, so that it can last you all day, all right? Anything that comes after the word so that is the benefit to the feature. So then that way, that's how you can craft benefits all day long. And when you do that, so then now you have one of your benefits is going to be all day battery life, and that's what you want to lead with.
I love that. Another way, another one is if you use the word because, right? So anything that comes after, if you use X, da da da, the one reason to buy is because dot dot dot, and that also kind of focuses to give people another tool on kind of benefit driven areas to raise conversations. What's number 3?
Yeah, number 3 is absolutely one of the things that you want to do on your website is to make sure that you scroll down the page. So you give people a reason to scroll down the page, and think about it kind of like a waterfall. A waterfall comes off the cliff and it goes down and it goes into the pond, right? And that's the same thing that you want to do. You want to have a waterfall effect to all of the text and the images that causes people just to want to scroll down. And one of the best ways to do that, John, is to create a curiosity gap. All right. And curiosity gaps are basically these curiosities, these gaps where you hook people in, you get them hooked by creating like an information gap and kind of making people curious so that they want to get the answer, and the answer is a little bit buried down the page, but you have to do it in a way that's desirable, So if you're selling cell phones, for example, you could say, did you know about the latest feature, that enables for you to have all day life without having to carry another charger? Well, here it is, and then you talk more, and then you're going to talk more about that battery life and how yours is unique and it's desirable. So just the things like that, creating those curiosity gaps can cause people to be able to scroll down the page and for people to feel engaged.
Right. Keep the dopamine rush going a little bit. Right.
Well
yeah.
said.
I love that. I think, talking about benefits and giving tools and tips on how to speak to benefits is important. I'll suggest this too. It's some people think it should be easy, but it's not. You got to really study your craft and spend some time on it. So thanks for that. Let's talk about where people get stuck, not evolving. I think the world is changing so much. Messaging, I think nuances of how you message your business or how you're positioning your company, it's changing more rapidly than 50 years ago when it could stay the same for 10, 20, 30 years. So talk a little bit about where people maybe get stuck and complacent and where they need to be thinking about growth and evolving and taking their messaging, their business, et cetera, to the next level as it pertains to marketing and advertising.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, because I think a lot of business owners, the nature of small businesses specifically, also make it so that the business owners have to wear multiple hats. And when you wear multiple hats, you get your website done and you're like, hey, that's the entry point to your website. But like you said, if they don't evolve, then business owners think, hey, I already have a website, I already built it. But if you have, messaging from just a couple of years ago, it's already outdated. Like, think about AI and how AI has, completely changed the scene. And now anybody can, have clear messaging and can have a messaging that is created by these even great copywriters of all time. So it's really important to evolve and to understand the landscape. And you're going to really need to take time as a business owner, either to hire somebody who understands those things and is able to do the work for you, because you can't afford to wear the marketing hat, the sales hat, and do actually the execution of the product or the service. That's too many hats. And then really the quality of the work is going to be sacrificed. So it's really important that you have somebody on your team, I think, that understands how messaging is evolving, especially that's connected to social media and marketing, and that can help you in those areas.
Yeah. And I'll just throw out this too. It's, for one of the first times in history, in many companies, there's 5 generations, and you got to be open to what each generation and what each person and what seasons they bring to the table, and really listen. And there's sometimes you got to push yourself to think a little bit differently. I see a lot of companies, Peter, where, they've been doing things the same for 50 years, 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, when really they're missing their next generation of clients by not evolving today. So, and that messaging is really, really important. And if you just look at all the social platforms, and you can comment on this too, because from a website development, which you guys do, when you market yourself, you're marketing a smidge differently on every platform. So talk a little bit about that, because I think it has a lot to, it's a lens for how you need to be open to evolving your messaging, because that is a showcase of all different generations looking at all different social platforms.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at the three of some of the most popular, advertising platforms that you can advertise on today. You can advertise on Google, you can advertise on Meta, which is going to be Facebook and Instagram, and you can advertise on TikTok. Each one of those platforms you're going to have to approach differently, and that's because there's different intents of people that are on those platforms. And when you understand the intent, you can really get clarity about how to approach each one. So for example, on Google people are searching, right? So you're going to show up in the sponsored ads. Hey, maybe you offer, a health and wellness product like a massage gun or something to help out your back after a workout, so you want to show up. So people are looking for relief. So that's going to cause you to create your advertising and your marketing in a very specific way, because people are looking for the solution. On Facebook and Instagram, people are looking to connect. They're going in there. They want to see what's the latest with their friends, what's the latest with their family. So when you are advertising on there, you're going to need to do something to stop the scroll. So when you have your advertising in the middle, it's on point, it's on target, it captures people's attention and hooks them and talks to them about your product or service, and maybe how you're going to get them off of Instagram and onto maybe your website or into a funnel or so of some sorts. So that's what you want to do on those platforms. Then you have TikTok, and TikTok is an entertainment platform. So people are on there because they want to be entertained. They want to watch videos. They want to see what's, laugh. They want to enjoy stuff, and they want to see what's viral and what's happening. So in those cases, you're going to want to almost always do advertising with video, and your video is going to have to be punchy. It should be entertaining, maybe educating, maybe, edutainment is what we call it also. So those are kind of the different ways that you want to think about your messaging and how they differ on each platform.
Yeah, it's great. No, I appreciate that review. And I think you're spot on. Let's talk about business. You have a business again, Swiftpress. Your website is swiftpresssupport.com. You guys are doing advertising. You build websites and apps for small businesses. Success is never a straight line. And so who were the mentors or the mentor that guided you, and what advice was that had an impact to not only start and build the business, but something that's a through line of your business today?
Yeah, what's interesting, John, is that before I landed on this business, I actually had two failed businesses right before this one. And the first one was I did one, trying to sell like education products for productivity and team and time management. And so I did that, and it failed big time. I wasn't able to make any money off of that. And then I immediately took that business and tried to leverage it into another business, in which instead of me doing small courses, I went very high end, trying to offer time management services and coaching to CEOs of businesses, for $5,000, $10,000, and that also failed epically. And it wasn't really until I had an introspective lens, and just like through, I'm a spiritual person, so just through prayer, I just found that I felt led. That God was showing me that the reason why I was failing in these businesses is because I wasn't doing what I was called to do. And so I really feel that everybody has a destiny, and everybody has something or some things that they're called to do, and that they're put here on earth to do. And when you connect with that, wow, it is so powerful. It just takes you to another level. And I failed because I wasn't connecting to what I was called to do. And I was just looking for a way to make money, because I needed to make extra money because I had kids and bills were piling up. And wasn't a good reason for me just to start these businesses. But when you do what you're called to do, that's when you're operating at your best.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that a little bit more, because the ideas that you had talked about, they seemed pretty valid. But it seems like it wasn't in full alignment, what you're sharing, with what you were, quote unquote, called to do. So how did you know what you were called to do? Like, what was that? what was that feeling? I mean, I believe in everything you just said, but for the listeners, what was that? What did that feel like? How did you know that the stars were in a line?
Yes, and I love this. And that's, I think, some of the things that where people are like, just like you, John, they're like, Pete, everything that you say is great, but how do you know what you're called to do? And I think it has to do with your giftings. Where are you gifted naturally? All right, where are you gifted supernaturally, and where are you able to also hone your gifts and make them even better? And it gives you joy. Like every day when you wake up and you think, hey, I'm gonna grow this gift, or I'm gonna use this gift that I have, then you know what, it gives me so much joy. One of my friends, for example, is a public speaker, and you know what, a lot of people are absolutely terrified of public speaking, but you know what, he is incredible at it and he absolutely loves it. And so he left the business world to actually pursue public speaking, and he's a coach in public speaking and does public speaking. And you know what? People pay him thousands of dollars to go and speak publicly. And he does something that people absolutely are scared of, but he does it every day because it's his gifting, it's his calling, and he speaks inspiring messages. So I would say, take a look at where it is that you're gifted. Take a look at what gives you joy when you think about doing it, and then go down there and explore the paths. And I think that you'll be on the right track.
Yeah, I agree. I think the universe, when you're in alignment, it's easy to take action. And when you're in this adjustment period, I do agree with you. A lot of times it's kind of the universe pushing you to where you need to get into alignment. And I think a lot of times it's closer than it seems. You talk about prayer, I meditate, and I think in silence, it can come to you faster. I just want to highlight one thing. You touched on this, but a lot of times when you're really great at something, you don't realize that could be a superpower or a calling that you can actually scale and monetize. And so, think community, pay attention to those things that do fulfill you, bring you joy, and that come easily, because those a lot of times are where the bedrock root can be.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And also you meditate. Meditation is a wonderful practice. And then when you're silent, when you have silence, if you even have a practice of journaling, so also by journaling and asking yourself questions from the inside and listening to the small, still voice within, that can also be a helpful voice that guides you, but also filter it, because not every single time that you hear that voice is going to be a voice that you should follow. So that's why I recommend that you also filter, but also journal and seek within. And I think you're going to definitely be taken down a beautiful path.
Yeah, it's great. Good. I agree. All right, good. Let's do a speed round. A book that's had the biggest impact on you.
Yeah, I love a couple of books. Of course, for me as a Christian, I love the Bible. But a secular book that has also had tremendous impact on me is Thinking Fast and Slow. Have you ever read that one?
Yeah, it's great.
Man, this one is a game changer. I feel like it should be required reading in every single school, every single university, because it basically touches on how your body thinks. It's built up of these two systems. One's very analytical, one's mind wandering, and basically it affects all areas of your life, whether you're sleeping or awake. So I think it's really required reading. So that is one of my favorite books.
Yeah. That's a great one. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
Best piece of wisdom I've ever received is it's never too late to be what you might have been.
It's a good one. Finish this sentence. One thing everybody can do to get closer to their own joy, fulfillment, and alignment is
to search within.
It's good. Tell everybody who your ideal clients are, where they can connect with you and learn more about you.
Sure, John. For me, my ideal clients are basically small business owners. If you're a small business owner and you find yourself struggling with time, you need a better website. You have old messaging, just like John was saying, that's outdated. You need a refresh, a design. We can help you we'll build the website for you, do everything, and make sure that's optimized. And also our pricing is very affordable because it's made to be affordable for small business owners. That's what we have in mind. So it's definitely, we do that without breaking the bank. And you can go to swiftpresssupport.com and find out more.
It's great. Peter, I enjoyed this talk. I enjoy your philosophy, and I appreciate you sharing your story about your path, your failures, your successes, how you kind of tap into an inner knowing to find your alignment and fulfillment. I think it's great. And I think it'll impact a lot of people. Think Community, we talk a lot about getting in alignment. And I think Peter really highlighted the reason to do that. I'm a big believer there's no real failures, just lessons. And it sounds like the lessons guided you to a great place. Appreciate you coming on, Peter. Thanks so much. Think Community, you can reach Peter. Give him your website one more time.
Sure. Swiftpresssupport.com.
And you can reach me if you want to talk about any business coaching at jondwoskin.com. Thanks, everybody. Peter, thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.